How you guys doing? Good to see you. I know that GoToWebinar doesn't actually have a video feature to it, but using the camera, it's pretty easy to say hi to everyone. Although I won't be able to keep this on the entire time, it will definitely eat into bandwidth. So let's go ahead and close that out. Nice to see you guys. Glad you guys are here joining us. So let's go ahead and begin then. Welcome to our webinar. Hope everything is going well for you guys. I see already a couple of neat posts there. Nice shirt. Thank you very much. Glad you guys are here. And yeah, I got to be wearing my Aloha shirt, of course. For those of you that have been to seminars and trainings with me, you know I love the Aloha shirt. Hey, this is really exciting. This is our NLP.com webinar series. I've done a series of webinars. How unique. Anyway, I've done a bunch of webinars over the years, and usually with other companies. So invited to come on and talk about various topics: NLP, hypnosis, HUNA, general empowerment, and we've always had really good feedback about the webinars. We've always had this phenomenal response from people. And you know, we were doing a brainstorming session, and we said, hey, you know, we have a pretty big database. We have a whole bunch of people that might be interested in this type of information. So why not begin running our own? So this is our first shot at it. We utilized the GoToWebinar meetup space. I did this with a couple of other companies, and it seemed to work out really well. So we will look forward to your feedback at the end, letting us know how it went, what you guys think about the entire approach. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to launch my slides for the presentation. And unfortunately, when I launch my slides, I'm not going to be able to see any of the questions after this. Until I'm all done, let me just make sure I got my volume up in case Chelsea needs to chime in. You know, and what we're going to do is in this NLP.com webinar series, I'm going to cover something that is so important and so necessary, especially around this day and age. First of all, Happy New Year. It's January 2013. And, you know, I am blown away by how quickly time has gone by. I know, looking at the list and the people who have registered, most of you have either been on our mailing list for a long time. Some of you have been to our live events. For those of you that haven't, I'm Dr. Matt James, and you know, usually when I go on a webinar, I have someone introduce me, or we have a host that's asking questions. But since we're doing this on our own, I'm going to be introducing myself, and I figure most of you guys know who I am. But let's start off with a really simple thing. Time has flown by. I mean, 30 years, if you look up in the right-hand corner there, we last year celebrated our 30th anniversary in December. The Empowerment Partnership around for 30 years, teaching NLP, HUNA, hypnosis. This upcoming March, we're going to be running our 45th HUNA workshop, twice a year now. I think we're getting up there on 23 years here in Kona. I'm at home right now. I'm home in Kailua, Kona. And on Monday, I'm going to be heading out to Texas to teach our NLP practitioner training in Austin. First time we've ever done a practitioner training in Texas, so really looking forward to it. For those of you that I haven't met, I've been in the field of NLP now for about 30 years. If you've been on since the beginning of the webinar and saw me in the video, I know I look like a pretty young guy. Celebrated my 41st birthday last year. I'll be 42 this year. And so I got my introduction to NLP at a very early age, at the age of 11, and been a part of the Empowerment Partnership for 20 years now, ran it for 15, owned it for 10, and since the 90s, I've been teaching NLP, hypnosis, and HUNA to thousands of people. And one of the things that we are committed to at the Empowerment Partnership is getting this information out to as many people as possible. And one thing that we've really been thinking about for a long time is how can we share information with you so that you are able to incorporate it in your life. We've been practicing doing these webinars now for a couple of years with the HUNA students who have been coming to our workshops for years now. we do a monthly, sometimes bi-monthly webinar with them where I talk about HUNA, classes with them. So something that we've really had in the works for a while and tested it, made sure that we're comfortable doing this approach, is keeping up the information with graduates and introducing potential students to this amazing set of tools and techniques. Now, obviously in a 1-hour webinar, because my goal is to spend maybe about 40, 45 minutes or so giving you guys some content, some information, and then opening it up to questions, letting you guys ask some specific questions. Chelsea will come on and provide the questions, tell me what the questions are, and I'll be able to answer them, and then wrap up in about 50 minutes or so, and then see how you guys like it. In the future, we'll do some webinars for graduates of the different programs. We'll also do some really basic NLP webinars, and in fact, I'd love to schedule one for another couple of weeks from now and let you guys decide on the topic. I thought about 3 different topics that I think would be fantastic that students ask me all the time about, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys. We'll do a poll. You guys can vote and let me know which one you think will be the most important webinar. And so anyway, let's get started. Let's begin and talk about what we're going to be covering today. So here's what we're going to be covering. We're going to cover energy and focus. We're going to be covering SMART goals, finding your why, finding your motivation. And then we're going to wrap it up with two different things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about an offer that we want to give to you guys. This is a give back. We're going to give you guys a free downloadable CD, an MP3 that will help you out with your goal setting. I always love to give something back to the people that spend the time to be here, and also talk briefly about the upcoming event. By the way, there's no requirement for you to sign up or pay for anything. We're going to be doing these webinars for free. We want to get this information out here. And for those of you that have gotten to know me over the years, I'm a big fan of making sure that we deliver on what we're going to do. And if there's time at the end, of course, I love questions. Heck, one day in the future, maybe we'll do an entire webinar on questions alone. Just you guys flat out ask me any question, I'll just field them. I think that would be a fabulous webinar. Anyway, let's get cranked up. Let's get started here. Let's talk about energy. So first of all, let's begin with what energy is and why it's so important. So energy. Energy is the overall motivation, the oomph, the passion, the desire that you have to do the things that you do in your life. I meet people in all different phases of goals in their lives, and I meet them all around the world. I meet people who are extremely successful and doing phenomenal with the work that they are doing in their lives, whether that's in their career, their health and fitness, their relationships, and they have the energy to do the things they want to do. And then I meet other people who they just flat out don't have the energy. They wake up in the morning, there's no motivation. In Hawaii, having grown up here in these beautiful islands, we learned about energy. It was weird. We got to talk to elders and people who would bring up the whole concept of mana, and that's what they called it. And in fact, we went from a very esoteric system on the planet. We had a very esoteric means that you talked about things like energy, about higher consciousness, about connection to the world around us. And we went to a very allopathic approach. Allopathic means that we were very focused in on this idea that the mind and body are not connected. And in fact, 100 years ago, there were articles that were published in various journals that literally said there's no connection between the mind and body. I know not everyone felt that way. We did, though, move very far away from some basic fundamental truths that empowered us on our paths. By the way, we have gotten to a point now where pretty much everything boils down to energy. Physics, and regular old physics, how you build a house, that rock rolls down the hill. They talk about the fact that pretty much everything just boils down to energy. Quantum physics, at the deepest level of who we are, it's been proven we have energy. Well, of course, spiritual teachings around the planet have talked about the fact that we are all beings of energy, and this is absolutely proven now. one of the #1 growing fields or sectors in the where you can invest your money, energy drinks, Monster energy drinks, 5-hour energy drinks. Look, let's come to a basic fact here. We all want energy. We want more energy. We all want to be able to tap into that energy, and yet some of us don't know how. What I want to share with you right now is how to do it, and yet if you want to get more information on this, there's 2 really important places to go to. One is Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra absolutely cites and explains how the trickle-down effect of the mind affects the physical body. And then what you want to do is you want to read Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, or you can pretty much jump right to Bruce Lipton, because Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist, not only validated that energy affects the cells, found through research that it affects your body first and foremost. Your energy field, your mana, your chi, your ki, your prana, affects your body, your cells, your entire being before the chemicals that you put in your body, before the thoughts that you have, before the food that you take, before the drugs, before the medications, everything. Your energy affects your body first and foremost. I love teaching in this day and age, I have to tell you guys, because, when I was teaching in the 90s, people would be able to say to me, well, I don't really believe in that woo-woo energy stuff, that out there, I don't mind your aloha shirt, Matt, but quite frankly, I'm concerned because I don't believe that energy exists. We're beyond that point now, though. We've proven scientifically that energy exists, that it affects our cells first and foremost. I get up in my trainings and I say, water's wet, the sky is blue. Energy exists and it affects you at the deepest level of who you are. The approach that I use to talking about energy, Huna. So let me briefly explain this, and then I'm going to jump right into why energy is so important and the trickle-down effect. Before Huna was called Huna, it was called Ho'omana. Huna is a Hawaiian modern label for an ancient system of empowerment and flexibility of the mind, body, spirit. Ho'o means to make, mana means life force energy. So when you take these 2 things together, it means empowerment. This is something that I've studied since I was about 5, Huna specifically, and things like the Hawaiian forgiveness process. I've been practicing since my early teenage years. And this is something that I've gone around the entire planet and talked about and taught to literally thousands of people. And one of the fundamental aspects of Huna was that we have a trickle-down effect. A trickle-down effect works like this. You see these 3 circles in that rectangle there at the bottom. So the top circle says spiritual. By the way, if you don't like the word spiritual, from an NLP perspective, it doesn't matter what word we use, substitute that word spiritual for energy. Let's talk about energy for a moment. At the highest level of who we are, we have energy. Then we have the mental aspect of who we are. That's our thoughts, that's our focus, that's our intentions, our goals. Then you have the emotional aspect of who you are. That's your motivation, your passion, your desire. Well, the emotional aspect also includes things like negative emotions, your anger, your sadness, your fear, your guilt. And then all the way there at the bottom, you have the physical. Huna talked about this idea called the lesson of mastery. And the lesson of mastery means that there is a trickle-down effect of energy. The trickle-down effect of energy works like this. The energy that you have affects your thoughts, and it builds up momentum of your thinking and your focus. Your focus then directs the energy into the emotional aspect of who you are. And it either brings up positive, negative, or both. Positive emotions, negative emotions, or both. Those emotions then affect your physical body, and they direct your actions. Now, this idea, this concept, transcends the teachings of Huna. Really, they were a part of the culture. I remember learning about this idea as a teenager, even before I was a teenager, listening to elders here in Hawaii talk about the fact that we have this spark or this idea, this flash, this inspiration, and all of a sudden our thoughts are just filled with what it is that we want to do. For example, maybe you all of a sudden have this spark or idea that you want to be in a relationship or improve your existing relationship. And all of a sudden your thoughts and your ideas focus around that, and that's all you can begin to think about. And it builds up your positive motivation. It builds up your emotions. It can also sometimes bring up your baggage. This is a time where you do release work, where you let go of the negative emotions and limiting decisions. Then that emotional buildup trickles all the way down to the physical. And that physical connection with the energy then compels you or moves you down the path. Let's talk about a really specific, tangible experience. All of a sudden, one day you're driving down the street and this flash of this idea, maybe I should get a new car. As soon as you do that, there's a thing called the reticular activating system that kicks in. So this flash, this energy from that spiritual aspect of who you are, let's just call it energy for now, all of a sudden activates something that they call in psychology the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system, or RAS, is where your focus begins to hone in on that which you want. So let's say all of a sudden that flash occurs and you're like, I want a new car. And within a matter of minutes, you're already beginning to think about what type of new car. If this was a live training, I would look out at the group now and go, how many of you, when you thought, I want a new car, all of a sudden you began to see that exact same car all around you? So let's say you wanted to get a brand new Lexus or something, and you're driving down the road, all of a sudden a Lexus passes you. Now, by the way, those cars were there before, but you hadn't noticed them. So the energy shifts your focus. All of a sudden that energy is directing what your thoughts are. At this time, it is so important to do two things. One, be in control of your focus, and two, set a goal. That's why we're doing this webinar right now about goal setting, because people in January get these flashes, these ideas of, I want to lose weight. Well, that's the time then where you take that energy buildup that's naturally occurring and begin to direct it with some focus, with some intention, because then the momentum that occurs after the mental is that it trickles down into the emotional. Let's go back to the car example. Flash, idea, I want to get a new car. You begin to think about it. All of a sudden, hey, that's the type of car I want. You start seeing that car everywhere. The motivation builds up, maybe even the anticipation. Maybe if you were younger, maybe even recently, you're sitting there going, God, can I afford it? Different emotions, maybe even, fear, anxiety. You begin to then move that energy, and pretty soon you find yourself taking action, going online, looking at the cars. What are the prices? Calculating, getting that calculator out, and can I afford the monthly payments? Deciding whether you want to get a new car or a certified pre-owned. What a beautiful reframe. It's not used, it's certified pre-owned. It's not a snail, it's escargot. Oh, I love NLP reframes, but we're not talking about that right now. So all of a sudden you're doing things in the physical. You're taking action, and you find yourself at a car lot. I've trained people who do car sales, and there's a neat statistic out there that when a person walks onto a car lot, there's over a 90-something% chance that they will buy a car within the next 24 hours. You know what that is? That's the energy. It's trickled down into the physical now, and it's like a floodgate just opened. And you cannot help but absolutely take that action and go for it. This is why car dealerships will not let you off the lot. When you walk onto a car dealership, they will keep handing you over to another person until you buy a car, because they know statistically if they let you walk off that lot, you're going to go somewhere else and buy a car. Amazing. So here's the deal. You ready? Energy has this natural trickle-down effect. What I want to talk about today is when it moves from the spiritual or energy into the mental. That's where focus is so important. Look, here's the deal. If we were going to take a flight together and we were going to go from LAX to Kona, You guys are going to fly over here. Well, in this instance, we expect the pilot to be 100% in focus of getting us to Kona. In other words, we expect them to do their job and get us there. We expect them to follow through. We expect them to take the action necessary to make it happen. Why do we let ourselves off the hook sometimes when we're doing things, though? I don't understand that. It's a very interesting thing to think about. You know, you say that you want to go out on a date with your partner, with your spouse, and yet when you go out, you don't focus 100%. You Facebook, you tweet, you, I don't know, think about other things. You say that you want to get 100% out of your career, and yet when you go to work, statistically, I think, what is it? People spend about 20 to 30% of their day daydreaming or even browsing online about other things that they could be doing. They're not going to get 100% out of their job. What about individuals who want to have a connection with their kids, and yet when it comes time to have dinner or to hang out with them, you do everything but focus in on the kids. You watch television, or you, again, open up your computer. Look, I understand the importance of Facebook. I understand social networking. I understand the demand that we have now. I totally appreciate that. I do. We have that in our company. We have this need to do all of these things. And yet, if that pilot flying from LAX to Kona was just 1% off on their focus, in other words, they only put 99%. If a plane is 1% off course on taking off, it could miss the islands by 600 miles. I've had pilots in my audience say that number is low, that a 1% off course, if you at takeoff were 1% off course, you would be probably 1,000 or so miles away. Why is this important? Well, I grew up on an island called Oahu. That's where Honolulu is. That's where I'm from. I live in Kona now. I think Kona is roughly 150, 200 miles away from Honolulu. I'm looking out my window, and I can just make out Maui, but I can't see Honolulu. I have never been able to see Honolulu, and we had one of the most clearest days I have ever seen here today, and I could not see where I'm from, and that's only 200 miles away. Look, here's the deal. When that energy comes in, if you don't know how to control your focus with 100% intention, you could miss your goal just by being off that little bit. Focus is so important. You see, you have to focus on what you want. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's what Henry Ford said. Love that quote. Michael Caine, an actor, when interviewed on Australian television, wouldn't even let other people explain to him why something can't be done because he didn't want to be convinced by them. It's like they shut all, he would shut these people out and refuse to let them explain why something was impossible. I have listened to recordings of individuals who are highly successful. I've read transcripts. I've read books from these people, and there's a common thread. It's that they are 100% in control of their focus. When you talk about someone who is successful, you get some really important things. You get the importance of focus. You see, energy flows where attention goes. So this spark, this idea comes in, and all of a sudden you have this momentum. What do you do with it now? Well, you do some goal setting. You avoid multitasking. You begin to set up scenarios in your life that help to build up momentum and energy towards achieving the things that you want to achieve. There was a study, by the way, done at Stanford. I talked about this in a couple of webinars that I recently did. I'll keep it brief because I know a few of you were on those webinars. You should check out the study. It's amazing. Stanford University did a study on multitaskers. They looked specifically at people who would text message while eating lunch with other individuals. And what they found was that in doing other tests with them, in comparison to people who did not do that, that the people who were quote-unquote multitaskers began to lose the ability to have a depth of information. They began to lose the ability to have a concentration on something. It's almost like they were very surface level. Well, top athletes, the most successful individuals in every area of your life that you can think of, they focus in when they're doing something. I was doing a radio interview, and off the top of my head, I thought about this for a second. I want you guys to seriously think about this. Have you ever seen a football player who's about to kick a field goal sit there and Facebook what they're about to do? Even 5 minutes before they go out there to kick the field goal, they're on the sideline practicing, visualizing, and focusing. You don't see them doing a lot of multitasking. Yeah, they might talk to someone else who's doing there on the football, but you know what? They're going to be focused in. I've never seen a basketball player bounce the ball at the free throw line and stop for a second and go tweet something. You don't see that. You don't see Olympic athletes right before going downhill skiing. You guys get my point. The most successful individuals on the planet focus in on what they're doing, and they do it in every single area of their life. Now, here's the deal. This is something that I didn't get to talk about on my previous webinars. So this is some added content. I have a lot of great feedback on this discussion. And so let's wrap up the importance of focus. So here's your conscious mind. And it has this desire to go for a specific behavior. It has this desire to go for a specific goal. And yet, our actual behaviors do not match the goals. What's an example of that? Well, an example of that would be, most of you know this, I used to weigh about 85 pounds more than I do now. I used to carry around a lot more fat. No, it wasn't muscle. It was all fat. I was living life pretty large. For a 5'9" frame, I can assure you 235 pounds is not a healthy place to be. And I would literally consciously have this spark, this desire to become healthy. And yet my behaviors did not at any way match what I wanted to do. I wrote about this on my blog. For those of you that haven't signed up for my blog posts, it's drmatt.com, drmatt.com. That's a separate mailing list from the Empowerment Partnership, and that's where I post blogs about research in the field of NLP. And one of the blog posts that I did, and you can find it in the research section, is a commentary on the Time magazine article that talked about this idea of free will and what free will truly is, and questioning whether we had it or not. Look, here's the deal. If we had conscious free will, the smoker would go, I should quit smoking. Oh, I'm going to quit. And they would drop the cigarette and quit. But it doesn't happen that way. What happens is you usually see a smoker, more often than not, lighting up a cigarette and talking about how they should quit, how they want to get healthy, all the while puffing and smoking on that cigarette. So these researchers asked, hey man, do we really have any free will? And what they found in the research, and I talk about this in my blog post, you guys should go check it out, is that we do have free will. What free will comes from, though, is the conscious mind and the unconscious mind working together. This is why NLP is so important, because it helps to get the unconscious mind on track with the conscious mind. It helps to get the unconscious mind moving towards your goal. And I'm going to talk about one of the ways to begin to do that. The conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. So what does that mean? It means that you need to begin to develop behaviors in every area of your life that enhance the quality of your focus and your goal setting. I'm going to give you guys some specific tips at the end of the webinar so that you can take this and put it into action. So let's just kind of move into the next section for now, and that is goal setting, because what we have to do is we have to move from the goals that we have, the focus, and how do you begin to get that momentum and focus going. So let's talk about the principles for success in neuro-linguistic programming. There are 5 principles for success. The first one is to know your outcome. This comes straight out of neuro-linguistic programming. We talk about this on day 1 of our practitioner training when we teach a very in-depth goal-setting technique and approach, and we go through this. I want to share this with you here so that you guys have this information. By the way, the principles for success were modeled from successful people. It doesn't come specifically from NLP. NLP looks at how other successful people achieve the goals that they have in their life. One of the ways that NLP looked at individuals was by modeling. So modeling how successful athletes, entrepreneurs, people who were amazing in health and fitness, in relationships. Well, when you look at all of these people, when you talk to a successful person, they know their outcome. If you ask me, Matt, what is your outcome? Dr. Matt, what is it that you want to do to become healthy? I will be able to give you my specific outcome, the goal that I have, and I will be able to narrow it down for you exactly what I need to do on a regular basis and what needs to happen in order for me to achieve the things that I want to achieve in my life. The next thing that successful people do is they take action. So look, here's the deal. At the end of this webinar, when you are given the task of writing the goal, you know, a lot of you might go home, or you might already be home if you're home right now, and you'll turn off the webinar and go, wow, that was really great. I should write my goal tomorrow. Well, I'm sorry, tomorrow never comes. You should write something down today. That's called taking action. Having sensory acuity. Sensory acuity, in NLP terms, is the ability to know whether you are on track or not. Sensory acuity is, am I getting the results? Hey, so I started my workout program. All of a sudden, I'm beginning to lose weight. Well, do I notice that I'm becoming healthier? So sensory acuity is knowing whether or not you are achieving your goals. Having behavioral flexibility. That's being able to change your path, your pattern. You know, if things get stuck, if all of a sudden things aren't working out so well, the ability to change your behaviors. The most successful people on the planet have a flexibility that is just absolutely amazing. When things aren't working, they're able to just turn on a dime. Unsuccessful people don't do that. And then finally, the fifth principle for success is operating from a physiology and psychology of excellence. What that means is that you're doing the best you can with the resources you have, that you are absolutely functioning at 100% and you're giving it your all, knowing that life is about learning and that you're going to learn new things and get better and better each and every day. You know, the first time I went into the gym after I had gained 85, actually from high school, I gained 100 pounds of fat. And, you know, the first time I went into the gym, it was awful. But I knew I was doing the best I could. And after a while, I became so accustomed to the workout that I wasn't getting the results, so I had to change my workout routine, modify my diet. I had to have sensory acuity. Am I getting my results? Because at one point, all of a sudden, I wasn't losing weight, but my pants kept getting baggier. Well, muscle on average weighs twice as much as fat. So I had to be able to shift my thinking that the scale doesn't matter anymore, that how I feel and my clothes are what matters. I had to keep taking action, and I had to constantly change my outcome in health and fitness because as I got healthier, I needed to set a new goal. So all 5 of these things are so important, and you begin with goal setting. So let's talk about NLP SMART goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable resources, and writing it toward what you want. Now, here's the deal. For those of you that are taking this webinar seriously and you're writing these things down, that's great. For those of you that aren't, or you're not in a position right now where you can, of course, we're going to do our best to get you the link for the recording. You can always fast forward to this point and see it again. And I got to tell you, I got my goals in every single area of my life, and they're specific. Specific means that if I handed my goal to you, you would know exactly what it was that I was going for. I don't leave anything out there to be ambiguous. You know, if you set a goal, and I hear these people all the time say, I want to make more money. Okay, I have a question for you. How much more? A lot more. Okay, that's not specific. You see, you have to get specific enough so that if you took your goal and gave it to someone else, they would know exactly what it was that you wanted, whether that's in relationship, health and fitness, in your career. So, you know, if I set a goal that I want to make more money and I'm walking down the street and I find a penny on the ground, well, pat yourself on the back. Yay, you just got your goal. But I'm sure you wanted more than just a penny. You know, I understand the whole concept of that. It means it's a lucky day, but great, your goal is done. Your unconscious mind got it for you. So be specific. How much more money? What type of relationship do you want to be in? How do you want to enhance your existing relationship? And then as you're writing it, it needs to be measurable. Measurable means that you know when you have achieved it. So as you're getting specific, make sure that you have specific measurements in place so that you know that you are going to achieve your goal. So if it's health and fitness, what are some benchmarks that you have? If it's career, make sure you put your income in there, job titles, all the various things that you want, and things that you will be able to measure, because that's called having sensory acuity. You have to know when you've gotten to the place of achieving this goal. Next, you need to make the goal achievable. Nicholas, who is one of the trainers at the Empowerment Partnership, tells a fabulous story. I think it was in a weekend training where someone came up to him and said, I want to make, I don't know, something like $1 billion or $1 point something million. I don't remember the exact story. But it was a student in one of the weekend trainings, and Nicholas said, that's great. Is that achievable? How much have you ever made in a year? And it was like $30,000, $40,000. Well, I mean this from my heart. If you've never made $1 million, you ought to set the goal in a range that's a little bit more achievable. By the way, is it possible for someone to go out there and make $1 million in less than a year? Of course. There's the lottery. There's going to Vegas and hitting the jackpot. But here's the deal. I want you to be in charge of your goals. I don't want Vegas or the lottery to be in charge of your goals. And all things being equal, you have to find out what is possible. When I woke up and I realized I wanted to get healthier, well, back in the 90s, towards the end of the 90s, there wasn't the research available online that we have now. When I work with people one-on-one with health and fitness issues, one of the things that I have them do is go online and find out, okay, here's where you are. What is the most amazing thing that someone in your similar condition has achieved? And let's set that as a benchmark and then kick it up a notch. And what we're talking about here is goals in every area of your life. I'm going to jump back to the SMART goal in just a second. But I've been talking about all of the different areas. A can also mean all of the areas of your life. Cognitive psychology, NLP, personal growth and development, they kind of break it down into these 6 areas. I know there's some other ones, but these are pretty abstract, chunked up, big picture. We have career, relationship, health and fitness, spirituality, family, personal growth. I know that there are other areas, but these are the big ones right here. So when something is achievable, you probably would be able to find someone else, for example, in the area of career that has also achieved what you want to achieve. So let's say you're a real estate agent. One of the clients that I worked with was a real estate agent, and he wanted to become an owner of multiple agencies, and he wanted to have a certain level of income. And so I asked him, I said, is that achievable in career? And he went out there and found 2 or 3 specific examples of people who were in similar situations that he was in and were able to achieve that. What does that mean? That means it's possible to do it. Could he all of a sudden become the next Donald Trump? Yes, that is possible. And what's more likely is being able to achieve something that other people, multiple people, have achieved. And then once you've achieved that, kick it up to the next level. And then when you've achieved that, kick it up to the next level. And then at some point, yeah, great, be the next real estate mogul of this century. But for the beginning part, focus in on making sure that it is achievable in that area. The R stands for resources. What resources do you need to achieve your goal? Time, energy, money, support from other people. When I wanted to go back to school to get my PhD in psychology, I needed the support of my family to go back and do that because it was a task, it was a dedication. And so as I set my goal, I listed the resources that I would need and the help in order to achieve it. And then finally, as you're writing your goal, you want to write it toward what you want to achieve. So you want to write it toward or in a positive sense. So you don't want to write what you don't want. I don't want to be fat anymore. And please forgive me for saying fat. This is how I used to talk to myself. So what do you want instead? I want to be healthy. I don't want to be broke anymore. No. Here's the amount of money that I want to be making. So you take the SMART goal, and what it does is it helps to hone in and get your goal very specific, measurable, achievable, with the resources and in a positive sense. Now, what this is going to do is build up your motivation. Remember I said we're going to be talking about three things. We're going to talk about focus, we're going to talk about SMART goals, we're going to talk about how to increase your motivation. A part of what you need to do with your SMART goal writing, and I didn't get to talk about this on the recent webinars that I did, is you need to increase your motivation. So you got your goal, now you need to get motivated. See, that's the emotional aspect. Remember that trickle down, those three circles, and the physical aspect, energy, mental. Now you've set your goal, now let's build up the motivation. Once you've written your goal, what you need to do is you need to get your why. You see, no why equals no motivation. When I was getting my PhD in psychology, there were studies on motivation. Actually, even in my business, I have a master's in organizational management. And in my business degree, it talked about compensation and motivation. And studies that were done in corporations, employees that had a reason why they were becoming a part of a project had more motivation to follow through and see the success of the project. Let me say this again now. In studies of motivation within organizations, when an employee or a coworker has a reason why they are doing something, they have greater levels of follow-through, commitment, and higher levels of success. Most people have a hard time articulating why they're doing something. Or worse than that, they talk about why they're doing it from a whole negative standpoint. Why are you exercising? Because I don't want to be fat anymore. Why are you working? Because I don't want to be broke. Because I have to. Listen carefully. Why brings power. Why creates meaning and moves the mana, the energy. Remember I said earlier, energy flows where attention goes. Well, your reason why, it paints, it colors, it filters the energy. I don't know if everyone has snow cones. We call it shaved ice. Snow cones. I think you guys, this is where a live training is much more efficient because I can look out at the group and go, do you guys know what snow cones are? Yeah, I know. As I'm doing the presentation here on my screen, I see my slides. I can't even see you guys if you're raising your hand. But anyway, if you don't have snow cones where you're from, imagine taking a piece of ice and shaving it down into small little shreds. Well, then you get a cone and you shove all that ice in the cone. We call it here in the island shaved ice. Some people call them snow cones. Well, when you have that cone filled with ice, that's like your goal. There's your cone. You got all the ice in it. Why is the flavor that you put on it. When you have a reason why you're doing something and the why is negative, what happens is you flavor your goal with negative energy. You flavor your goal with negative motivation. In other words, it's a move away from it. It's the carrot versus the stick. I got to tell you guys, yeah, the stick is going to get you going right away, but it doesn't produce long-term results. That carrot, that positive, focused motivation builds up energy. So when you've set your goal, when you're done, here's a secret. Write down why you're going to do this. Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to be with this person? Why do you want to pursue that degree to become a doctor? Why do you want to have that connection with your family, with your relationship? And make it personal. Make it about you. This is your motivation now. This is you flavoring your goal. And what that will do is it will increase your mana and your energy. It will increase your ability to push away the naysayers, to get rid of the people that doubt you. And quite frankly, when someone comes up to you and tells you that your goal is silly, I say this from my heart, you should tell them to go focus on themselves. Don't let someone else change your goal. What is my friend, I got a really good friend, George Focus. He presents at our workshops. He said, don't let others' opinions become your realities. You know, when I said that I want to get rid of some excess pounds that I have and get healthy, you know, I actually had a couple of friends who are dear friends of mine say, why? It doesn't matter what you look on the outside. And I would say, stop. I look at them and I said, please stop. Maybe to you it doesn't, but by the way, I don't want to get healthy to look good. I want to get healthy because I'm motivated to do so. I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to wake up feeling great. I want to be able to run up and down stairs if I need to and chase my kids at the beach. I said my goals for being healthy has nothing to do with how I look. I'm in a fabulous relationship. My wife and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year. She loves me. She's with me. I have no reason from a physical standpoint. She loved me for who I was when I was 85 pounds heavier. I said, please stop. Don't tell me my goal is silly because you don't have the same goal. Yeah, don't let someone else's opinion become your reality. What you need to do is you need to find your why and be able to look at people who are naysayers and say, you know what, maybe you don't want to make more money. Maybe you don't want that car. Maybe you're okay being alone. I'm not. I have a goal and I have a reason why. And that's the Michael Caine approach. That's the approach of don't tell me I can't achieve this. You know, I'm a young guy. I started teaching in my 20s. I'm a white guy. I'm Caucasian. I teach Huna, a Hawaiian traditional I teach it to Hawaiians, by the way. We have Hawaiians who come to our workshop. I don't let limitations affect my ability to do that. I teach it here in Kona. Last night, I was at the Palace. We had chanting, we had drumming, we had hula. I take hula lessons at the Palace here in Hawaii. I know who I am. I know I'm not Hawaiian. And yet I don't let other people's opinions become my reality. And what that does is actually get people motivated to do what you do. Yeah, you become an inspiration for other people. My goodness, Matt, if you can do it, I can do it too. Become that beacon of light for other people and let that energy shine through. This is a huge component of goal setting that I rarely hear talked about. And that is once you've set your goal, you got to define why that goal is important to you. I cannot overemphasize this enough. So I hope that hammers it home. So let's bring a summary and let's bring it all together. I want to give you some specific tips. I promised that I would give you some tips, and then I'm going to see if there's some time for some Q&A, some questions and answers. Love it. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Again, you know, the toughest part for me of doing this is that I'm so used to live groups. You know, for years I've been live groups, and, you know, you look out at the group and you go, how are you guys doing? And everyone goes, yeah, I'm doing great. And anyway. Maybe next time we'll do this, I'll have 2 computer screens up in front of me, and I'll be able to see the hands going up or get you guys to comment or something. We'll get this more interactive. Alrighty, so let's wrap this up. Summary, here's some tips. So going back to energy and focus. One of the things that you can do, and I got to give credit where credit is due, the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. A very interesting book. I don't know if I could go to a 4-hour work week, especially on the weeks where I'm teaching the practitioner training. Those are 11-hour days for me. So Tim, great book, and I think later on he openly admitted, no, it doesn't apply to every single area of life. However, there were some important lessons in there, and he talked about batching or grouping things together. So answering emails throughout the day and interrupting the other things that you're doing is not as efficient as sitting down and focusing 100% on emails, knocking them out, and then you go into the gym and you only focus on being there in the gym. And then you go to dinner with your partner and you only focus in on being there with your partner. Yeah, that's called batching or grouping things together for maximum mana. Ooh, I like that. We should do a webinar on maximum mana. Anyway, the next thing is set some goals. The next tip is, oh, please, there are so many studies out there and people who write goals. People who write goals tend to get them. Not always what they want. No, I can't guarantee you that if you write a goal of being a millionaire, you're going to get it. However, people who write their goals tend to get them more than people who just dream about them. Here's the, I'm going to share with you guys the reason why, and this comes from Huna. Because when you write your goal out, you're doing something in the physical, and that takes the energy and gets it moving. When people don't write goals, they're leaving the energy in the mental. That's why they never get their goals in the physical. So the reason why writing your goals works so well is because it's a physical act and it begins to move the energy. So you've got to write your goals down. Be clear, write them out, and get your why. When you've written your goal, don't just dream about your why. Write it down. So that increases your mana, your energy, and builds up your motivation. So I hope these things help out. I'm going to talk real briefly about the downloadable MP3 to help you out for goals. I'm going to share with you a product that we have that will help you to increase your success. And we've got an offer for you guys here. You know, I'm going to be in Texas next week, in Austin, and then the week after that I'm going to be in San Jose, California, and then in San Diego, California. So we're going to be doing Northern California and Southern California. Look, if you're on this call and you have been to our trainings before, you know, we give back. People who refer other people. If you know someone who would love to go to this training, we want to support you in getting them there. So look, here's the deal. First of all, I'm going to give you a link, and that link is going to take you to your ability to download it. No other information you have to put in. You go straight to the page, click on the download, bang, you got your MP3. And the download that we're giving you is one that we've given out a few times this year already. It's a very valuable MP3. It's called the Prometheus Induction. And once you have set your goal, what you do is you listen to this recording, and it will help you to increase your energy to achieve that goal. At the Empowerment Partnership, at our company, at NLP.com, once we've set a goal, we, in the company, we listen to that. Yeah, when we were doing our sales meeting, we would have the head of customer service, Masako, and Sumi and I, we would then go home that night and we would listen to this. It started off as an in-house recording, but we've made it a product available to you guys. When you go to the link, there's also an offer there, because I know a lot of you who signed up for this emailed me personally and said, I'm most interested in you talking about money, increasing my wealth. There's a CD set that I recorded in Toronto. I've had people who have nothing to do with NLP who have helped us out with marketing and advertising. We've sent them every single product. This has happened 4 or 5 times now, where we've sent them every single product and said, help us figure out what's the one that we should market and advertise. And they always start off thinking it's going to be NLP, and the funny thing is, they've all pinpointed that the HUNA Creating Prosperity and Wealth CD set is the most valuable product that they thought we had, and that we would want to highlight it. And so we're going to do a special offer where we're going to knock the price down to under $100, and for anyone that orders that CD set, we're going to give you a couple of tickets to come to the practitioner training for free. That's our upcoming practitioner training. Depending on where it is, in Texas and San Diego, it's a 5-day training. I got to tell you guys something about the practitioner training. Listen carefully. I'm adding in more content about energy this time around. And in Texas and San Diego, it's going to be 5 days. We're going to add a whole HUNA day. And I'm going to start off right off the bat with new information about energy, about the trickle-down effect. And we're going to take the NLP techniques and interlace them with energy, increasing your motivation, increasing your passion, your drive, and your desire. And so if you've been waiting for a time to come to one of our practitioner trainings, now is the time. And what we want to do is kicking off 2013. For those of you who are on our first webinar here, if you order the product, we're going to give you 2 free tickets. And the tickets are normally, I think, $97 a piece. So great value for you. It's a full practitioner training. You're going to get a post-study so you can get certified as a practitioner of NLP. And yes, I'm going to be there at all 3 for the entire time. So if you want to do this, if this is something that is absolutely something that you so desire to take care of and take your goal setting and your motivation to a whole new level, you can go ahead and check out nlp.com/free 2013. And that's going to take you to the downloadable link. And in addition to that, it's going to talk to you a little bit more about the product. And again, if you just want the free CD, go for it. Download it. That's our gift to you. And for those of you that want to take action and kick it up to a whole new level, then by all means, take that action. And I look forward to seeing you there in Texas, in San Jose, or San Diego. Alrighty. So I got the screen up there. And does anyone have any questions? Chelsea just shot me a text message and said there's no specific questions, that a lot of the questions have been about various things. If you have a question, go ahead and send that question in now. If not, let's see. What are some of the questions that I've been asked in the past? Oh, I remember one of the questions that I had. One of the questions that I had dealt specifically with, what if you're in a situation where you have to multitask? So here's what the person means by that. This was an email that I got after a recent webinar. And what the person said to me was that they live or they work in a job where they are required to do multiple things. Okay, that's great. What you can do is begin to practice focusing in on specific things in other areas of your life. So, for example, here's a rule that I have at the dinner table. So I got two kids. I got a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old. At the dinner table, tonight I'm going to be grilling, and I'm leaving in a few days, so we're going to have some family time. There's no TV. There's no internet. There's no Facebook. We're there focused in. Now, what that does is it creates a pattern in one area, that's family, that trickles into all of the other areas. So let me say this again. That pattern that you have in that one area begins to affect all of the other areas. Begin when you're working out to focus in on working out and cutting everything else out. Yeah, cut everything else out and focus in on what you're doing. That will have a trickle-down effect in all of your other areas. So I know when you're at work, you got to do multiple things, and while you are doing certain tasks like with your family, with your partner, out to dinner, begin to practice this idea of focus. Here's one of the things that I want to know. I want to do a quick poll. Chelsea, and I know you just said a question came up, but while we're waiting for a couple questions, can we do the poll on what our next topic should be? Go ahead and launch that poll now, and if you guys would help us out, we got 3 exciting possibilities. Now we got 3 exciting possibilities for the next topics that we have. We have, here's the poll right here. So if you guys wouldn't mind helping out with this, I'd be very appreciative. So the 3 topics that we thought would be neat is, first of all, 1, the secret of the zone. You hear professional athletes, you hear top performers, you hear people that get specific results, talk about being in the zone. So if you think that that would be a great topic, click on that. NLP Language Patterns 101 is just basically going over things like reframing, how to utilize your language to be the most effective you can be in your life. And I think the last one is pretty self-explanatory, how to increase energy through meditation, through focus. What are some specific things that you can do, and maybe even doing a meditation here online to help you increase your energy, your oomph, your motivation. And so those are the 3 things that we've had people ask about and talk about. So let's see, 51% have voted. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. 53%, getting a few more votes in. Wow, number 1 is the secret of the zone. I'm going to give you guys some specific techniques. That seems to be the one winning. A close second is increasing energy through meditation. And let's go ahead and close the poll and share the results. There's the results of the poll. Thank you guys so much for that. If you didn't get to vote, that's all right. I'm going to make the next webinar about the secret of the zone, and then we'll do another one on increasing energy. So the came in second, increasing energy, we'll do one on that as well. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you guys to let me know as we take some questions, and I'll leave this one up for a little while. What is the best time to do these webinars? I know we're going to record them, but if you guys wouldn't mind letting me know, what's the best time to do these? You guys help guide and shape. I'm willing to do these on weekends, weekdays around dinner time, any weekdays after the kids go to bed. I'm willing to do them anytime you guys want me to do them. And I know that we record them, and I know that you can always go back to them later, but you guys let us know which one are going to be the best. You guys go ahead and vote on that now. Again, I'm going to make these webinars about you and really make them about what it is that you guys want to hear. Okay, man, it's already an hour. So here's the deal. You ready? I know I didn't get to answer every single question. What I'd like you to do, and what Chelsea's going to do, is grab any of the really important questions. And you know what I'll do for you guys? I will write a blog. If there's a good question, I'll write a blog about it, maybe do a video blog, or handle it on the next webinar. Yeah, so I want to leave with a couple of quick things. For those of you that want to stay in contact with us, here are some websites. NLP.com, obviously you know that one. My personal website, my blog, drmatt.com, that's a separate mailing list. So if you want to remain connected there, huna.com, that's another website we have. Of course, we're hypnosis.com. That's in the process of being developed into an online directory of NLP practitioners and hypnotists and hypnotherapists. And if you need to email me, you can contact me. This goes through the office, and the important emails that are relevant that I need to answer, they come right to me. It's drmatt@nlp.com. And if there's anything that I can ever help you out with, And just to kind of last wrap up, once you guys got those websites down, if you haven't already linked up with us on Facebook, Empowerment Partnership, and Dr. Matt James. These are two ways that you can remain connected with us and hear about any of our upcoming webinars. Of course, we're going to send out an email blast for the next one. Thank you so much for voting on what the next one will be. I will develop it, and I'll probably plan on doing that in about 2 weeks. Next webinar, we'll talk about the zone, getting into that zone so you can be operating at optimal performance each and every day of your life. And in addition to that, we'll talk about how you take that and put it into some specific areas. And I'll make sure that we save some extra time for Q&A, for questions and answers. All righty. So thank you all so much for being here. This was a great time. We went just about an hour, and love to make sure that I stay within that time integrity. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And aloha. Hui ho in Hawaii, that means goodbye, but it's not really a goodbye. It's our paths will meet again sometime in the future. Thank you all so much. I look forward to seeing you in Texas, in San Jose, in San Diego, or at some webinar in the future. Take care. Aloha. Here's the results of the poll if you're still here. Weekdays it is.